Salutations, family. It's your big player partner, Storm Hall, and I'd like to welcome you all back to Inside the Eye of the Storm. On this episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm, I'll be doing a blind reaction to Miss Kendra G's single. It's a very good show. Y'all make sure y'all go stop over on Kendra G Singles and drop a like on her and make sure y'all let her know that Big Storm Hall sent y'all over there. But on this episode, I'm going to be doing a blind reaction. It's a lady, she's a mom of four, and she's basically looking for a provider for her and her four kids. It's going to be an interesting episode, family. Let's jump into this segment already in progress, and let's break it down.
How many kids yourself?
I do.
How many kids?
4.
4 kids. How old are your 4 kids?
Okay, so my oldest is 23. My second oldest, he'll be 20 in January. I just, on the 2nd of October, I have an 8-year-old. And I have a 3-year-old in November.
Okay. And by how many men?
All of them got different daddies.
4 daddies. Why are you not with the 3-year-old dad?
I wanted to...
And jumping right off the bat, you got Miss Nyla here. And the first red flag is she has 4 baby daddies by 4 different men. And a lot of women don't want to face this when they hear men say it over and over again. But when you see a woman that has 4 kids by 4 different men, it's just indicative that this woman has a problem with sustaining long-term relationships, especially with men that you choose to procreate with and that you used to that you're having kids by. There's no way that right now in society that a woman should have 4 kids by 4 different men. It shows that she has very little discernment and that she doesn't really hold stewardship over her body or her reproductive system the way she should, to be having 4 kids by 4 different men. But right now in this liberal feminist society, this is the kind of thing we see, especially in the black community. It's not uncommon for you to run into these type of women who have multiple kids by multiple men. And these women think that this is acceptable and that this is what men should accept. I understand there are men out here with multiple kids by multiple women, and people have the right to seek out love no matter their situation, is what I believe. But you got to have certain standards and certain stipulations, and you have to be able to lower your standards in certain situations. And women hate to hear this, but when you've lived a certain lifestyle and you've made certain bad choices in your younger days, you have to hold accountability for those decisions. But let's jump back into this young lady's Nyla story, see what kind of man she's looking for, and let's break this down even further, family.
So Nyla, Indianapolis, 39, Leo, school teacher, also business consultant, mom of 4 kids by 4 men, never married. What kind of man are you looking for?
I'm going to say a man who has a good relationship with God. You don't have to be a preacher, but you definitely have to have a good relationship with God. A good relationship with his parents. If he has children, most definitely a good relationship with his children's mothers, and have to be active in his kids' lives. What else? Financially, everybody keep yelling 6 figures. I'm going to say he has to be able to sustain his life. And I would prefer a man, if he wanted to enter a relationship, to come into the relationship being a provider and knowing that. But financially, I can sustain myself, and I can probably sustain him too.
And this is where we run into the conundrum a lot of times in this certain paradigm that we see right now in the community. So you got a young lady here that's a single mother of 4 children with 4 different fathers. And when you ask her what kind of man she wants, the first thing she jumps into is God-fearing. When you have 4 different children by 4 different men outside of wedlock, how serious can you be about religion or spirituality. I shouldn't say that, because you can still be a very spiritual person, but in most organized religions, whether it be Judeo-Christianity, or you start dealing in like Islam, when you're dealing with the Abrahamic religions, there's no place in any Abrahamic religion that would be acceptable for a man of God to take on a woman with 4 kids by 4 different men. It's just not possible. And it's crazy that that's the first stipulation she would place on engaging in a relationship with a man. Then she goes on to say that she wants a provider, which is crazy, because when you look at the cost of living right now in most cities, especially major cities, and you talking about taking on a female with 4 children, you're talking about having to earn an immense amount of money. You're talking about upwards to $400,000 to be able to maintain a home with yourself, that woman and her 4 children. That's 6 different individuals that you're having to provide for. And this is not including if the man already has children of his own. A lot of times when you look at these women are looking for love and they're looking for companionship. But I mean, these women are basically, they've curtailed and pigeonholed themselves into situations that are almost unfeasible. There's no way that even if a man wanted to be a provider, it's no way a man can step into this situation and be a stepfather to 4 kids and be able to afford this on an average man's salary. It's just impossible. But we're going to jump right back into this episode, and we're going to break it down even more to gain further insight and to see what we can glean from this whole situation.
I just think that a lot of men now want to be courted. I'm not that girl. I can't do it. My brothers, and I was raised by all men. Let me say that first of all. My brothers are 10, 11 years older than me. So they're all married. My father was married, and they were all providers. You know what I mean? So just knowing that, I really just don't want to deal with a guy who thinks that.
And I just wanted to stop once again and interject right here, family. And I don't mean to be so short-winded. But right there in that situation, this is something you see very prevalently right now. Also, you start seeing women saying they were raised by all men, as if that's a positive. But in this situation, how were you raised by all men? This woman says she has a father and older brothers. Well, who was the steward over this young lady to make sure that she didn't engage 4 different men and have children by 4 different random men, none of which have stayed around to support and rear their children, or have to engage in matrimony with this young lady? You see these women all the time in the community, and they say, oh, I was raised by all men. Well, who imparted any kind of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on you to let you know that you should govern yourself and hold yourself at a higher standard than engaging with 4 different men, allowing all of them to get you pregnant without requiring marriage, and then you find yourself on a Kendra G show, on a dating show, looking for a man that's supposed to be a provider? One of those 4 men that you had those children by should have been your husband and should have been your provider, but for some odd reason we find ourselves here again. Let's jump back in, family, and let's break this down.
You did indicate you are a mom of 4, 23, 28, and a 3-year-old by 4 men. There's definitely going to be conversation about that. So what would you say to the man that's concerned?
In layman's terms, I'm a very open book. I lost my virginity with my daughter when I was 15, and he was 8 years older than me. He was out of line, but I didn't know any better. I was sneaking and I got caught. Had I not gotten pregnant, no one would have ever known that I even had sex. You know what I mean? So that's how my daughter came into play, and I love her. She's perfect to me. Then my high school sweetheart was my son's father, and he actually took responsibility for my daughter as well. We were together for a few years, and I didn't get along well with his mother, and that's a deal breaker too. If I cannot get along with your mother, it's not happening. Like, I'm not doing that. But his mother just she hated my guts, and I was a kid. You know what I mean? I was a child. So that was done.
And when you look at it, Kendra G actually goes further into a line of questioning with this young lady, and she starts to question her about her having these 4 kids by these 4 different women. I mean, by these 4 different men. And at this point, she's described her first two, the conception of her first 2 children, and you can see she was a mother at a very young age, at 15 years old. And she claims that she had 3 fathers, a father and 2 older brothers. But as you can see, these men did not act as stewards over this young lady to guard this young lady's chastity. And she ran around until she got pregnant the first time at 15. And you think even if that mistake was made and she took accountability for it, and she would have laid back and chilled. But again, within another couple of years, she was pregnant again. So I don't know how this woman can claim that she was raised by these men, and these men were providers, and these men set a good example or provided good role models for her as men, because she's ended up pregnant twice before she's 20 years old. She then goes on to say her second child, she didn't get along with the young man's mother. And this is a paradigm inside the black community that takes precedent all of the time. A lot of times young women and their male paramours, they won't get along with the mother of these young men, because these young men and these young women, the mother of these young men and these young women share so much in common, and they're so much alike that they can't see eye to eye. The young man's mother probably was a teenage mother herself. She seen this young lady. She wanted better for her son, and she seen herself in this young lady, and that's why her and this young lady had such vitriol for one another. A lot of times in the black community, it's crazy because the roles are reversed with sons and daughters. In most communities, young men have to approach the family. They have to introduce themselves. They have to go through a period where they prove themselves to the males of the woman's family, and the men are vetted to make sure that they are suitable to court the women inside these men's family. In most cultures, in the black community, the roles are actually reversed. You see girls, they have these male suitors that just come and have sex with them. They procreate with these men without any of the men in their family having any say-so, having any discernment on what happens with these young men. But you'll see in most cases, the young black men, their mothers are serious stewards over their sons. Black mothers do not play when it comes to their sons and their female counterparts, or the females they engage in amorous relationships with. It's crazy, and it's really a paradigm reverse. In most, like I said, in most cultures, the woman is really guarded over, and the family acts as stewards over the women to not let them procreate and go out here and run wild and just engage in relationships with random men. But in the black community, it's the exact opposite. They guard over the female, or the mothers in the family, guard the men immensely from female suitors. So it's just crazy, and it shows the difference in a lot of cultures, and it shows that right now in the black community in the United States, we're really out of order, and everything is the order is actually reversed with males and females. But let's jump back into this so we can break it down even further, family, and we can find out about her 2 other remaining children.
12 years later, I got with another guy, and we were like just kind of mutuals. He was my comfort zone. I was traveling a lot. I was doing a lot of investment, so I was traveling a lot, and I got pregnant by him, and he had 3 of us pregnant at the same time. And then this last guy, I thought I could be with him. I thought we were going to be together, but he just wasn't ready at all. And I allowed him to do things that I would never allow a man to do. All my friends went through the ups and downs with dudes. And I just was like, okay, I need to, not give up so quick. I need to not be so done, because my tolerance level is real low. So I was like, I'm going to try. And baby, that baby put me through everything that a woman that probably went through 16 years with a man. That baby put me through that in a year and a half. And I just was like, yeah, you want me to go crazy. So, and if it's not right for you, it's not right for you. And my kids are blessed. And I tell people I was a mother before I was a woman. So I grow and learn with my kids, and I also understand that everybody's not meant to be together, but I think that my children are meant to be here. So, if it don't work for you, it don't work for you. It worked for me, So
Fair enough. Okay.
And they're really far apart. You know what I mean? 4 years, 12 years, 5 years. My kids ain't even close to age. I just still look good.
And you can see the young lady, she goes in to expound even more about her last two kids. And I just wanted to point out a statement that she made, that her children are far apart. She also said she was a mother before she was a woman. And a lot of times in the black community, you have a epidemic of teenage pregnancy. And basically you have babies raising babies, and it causes generational curses, and it's like a self-perpetuating cycle where you see these young ladies that they continue to engage in this same risky behavior. They're not protecting themselves, they're not using birth control, and they end up pregnant by multiple men, and most of the time outside of relationships that are able to be sustained, so these children can be reared in a stable nuclear family. But then she points out that her children are far apart. So you would have thought through the maturation that she processed, that she went through over the years, where she grew from a teenage mother or a young girl in adolescence into adulthood, you think her understanding and her discernment would have grew amongst the years along in her maturation process of becoming a woman and also being a mother and blossoming into a woman. But it seems like none of it actually even helped this woman, or like she benefited from the process, because she went on to have two more children. So it's really just strange to me. And when you see a lot of women like this, they really shrug this kind of behavior off, and they make it seem like it's no big deal. But it's really strange when you look at it. It's been normalized in society right now, but it's just out of order, family. And that's going to be all for me on this breakdown of this episode of Kendra G's Singles. You had a young lady, she's a mother of 4 by 4 different men. And to me, it's just a case where she's a young lady in her 40s. She lacks discernment. She doesn't properly know how to vet men. And through bad life choices, she's ended up with 4 kids by 4 different men. Of course, like most women in this society, she has raised her children, so that is an admirable quality. But when you're talking about going out and you engage in men and talking about dating in your 40s, and you have 4 different kids by 4 different men, women hate to hear this, but you have to be accountable for what you've done in the past. A lot of people like to say your past is your past, but the past is the best qualifier to gauge people's character. And when you look at this woman, she has a problem with vetting men. She has a problem with discernment, and it's led to her being a single mother of 4 by 4 different men in her 40s, still searching for love, and it's an uphill battle. But that's going to be all for me on this breakdown, family. If you like these type of breakdowns from me, Storm Hall, I'm basically just giving social discourse from a masculine, older, wiser perspective, and trying to share knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on a lot of these shows. Just please hit the like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join me here for every episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm. Please also make sure you share so I can get into the algorithm. We can expand the channel, and I can do even more breakdowns of more material from the internet, and give more insight and give social discourse, like I said, and shed a little bit of wisdom on what's going on out here in the world. So I want to thank you all, family, for joining me here on Inside the Eye of the Storm for this episode. I'm going to see y'all next time, family. Peace.